Hi, class. Um, so I'm doing this video to help you understand function notation. So let's first go back a little bit. We're going to go back to Algebra 1, and we're just going to remember and reminisce about how maybe at one time you used to graph a simple equation like y equals x plus 1, how we would graph it, and that whole process, what we would do. Okay, this is just the simplest way to graph it, and I call this the table method of graphing, and that we're just going to choose an x value, and then we plug it into the equation. For x, and plug the x value in for x. So, and then we find the corresponding y value that goes with that x value. So like I plug here's the equation, y equals x plus 1. And then now we plug in a 0 for the x, and then that simplifies to be y equals 1. Okay, and then we would we would write down 0, 1, and then we would graph that point on a graph, and that would be, the first point on our line. Okay, and then we would do it again. Given another x value, I would plug it into the equation. The y value I came up with, or x value I came up with. So x equals 1, and then I would simplify that and I would get y equals 2. So given when I plugged in a 1 for x, I got a 2 for y. Okay, let's just do one more. Hopefully this is very familiar to you. See, I plug in x equals 2, and then I substitute a 2. It's probably a good idea to put a value whenever you're substituting in. It's not so important here, but to put it in parentheses. Okay, so plug in 2 for x, 2 plus 1 is 3. And then we get a 0.23. Okay. All right. So what is the g of x notation? Well, they just created it in place of y. They're just like, hey, let's not use this y anymore. And let's just make up an alternative name for y. And so it's still just the y. All it is equal to y, the y coordinate. It has a new name. So they just came in and said, hey, let's not call it y anymore. It's still the old y that it always was. It's just renamed g of x, that whole expression. So people don't really, I think what's hard for students is that they don't understand, and it's hard for them to think of one variable, one letter being replaced with 2 letters. I think that's kind of like, well, isn't that 2 letters means 2 different variables? Nope, it's not. It just means, and I think in my mind, when I see g of x, it means the dependent variable, if you will, or the y coordinate that results from plugging in x into the g function. Okay, because sometimes you will have lots, and one function will be the g function. So like, this one might be x squared minus 4x, and then you'll have an h function. This one might be x plus 1, and you'll have a I function, let's just say. The 2x plus 3 or something, So there might be several different functions. And so to kind of just specify between which one we're talking about, we just use a letter G. Okay. So this is a G, this, and what did we plug in to get this? That's G of X. It's G of X, but instead of saying X, we know what input we plugged in. So we don't have to use that general X. We can say this is G of 0. Okay, it used to be known as the Y coordinate, but this G of 0 is what its new name is, because in this notation, it's telling us not only that this is the Y coordinate, but also what X coordinate we plugged in to get that Y coordinate, corresponding Y coordinate. This one could be thought of as, instead of saying Y coordinate, they're calling it G of 1, because they plugged in the 1 into the G function to get that particular Y coordinate. And then they call it a new name, G of 2, to say, hey, the way I got this Y coordinate is I plugged 2 into this function. Okay. All right. I hope that this makes more sense to you, and please let me know if you have questions. Bye. Oh, one more thing, I might as well. The G of X is located. Now I would say G of 0, G of 1, and G of 2. Just change it. Okay. Bye.